looking to buy a home right now is facing a double challenge amid the Federal Reserve's efforts to slow inflation.
2023 had the lowest number of new listings ever in the Sacramento region, according to appraiser and housing analyst Ryan Lundquist.
We're missing a glaring 15,000 listings from the normal level.
Real estate market in 2023. There were just 21,000 properties listing last year in Sacramento, Placer, Yolo, and El Dorado counties.
But even in places where houses are usually expensive, they seem even more expensive.
Housing is becoming a luxury that the majority of first-time homebuyers cannot afford.
Houses are no longer affordable. On top of that, there's a growing movement behind the idea that the current population demographics will cause a housing crash. A lot of people assume baby boomers are the largest generation and that when they die, there will be millions of houses sitting around vacant. What is the possible implication of the exit of the boomers? An impending doom or bliss? Before we go into that, do like this video and subscribe to this channel. In recent years, it's widespread that in the next few decades, baby boomers will be riding into the sunset, leaving behind an excess of houses. The boomers are generally defined as people born from 1946 to 1964, which would make them less than 80 years of age right now. Now, the average lifespan in the United States is 78 years old, which means that the baby boomers are getting to that age when they will, unfortunately, die. In fact, they've already been dying. This has made the whole world curious about what will happen in the real estate market. So, a lot of studies have been carried out to find out what impact this will have, particularly on housing. One of those studies showed that at the moment, the baby boomers accounted for 22% of the U.S. population. By 2036, they would account for 10% of the population, and by 2054, when they're between 90 to 108 years of age, would account for less than 2% of the population. This study also showed that there were 32 million baby boomer homeowners in 2019. And even though they still account for the bulk of house owners, they are also quickly becoming the largest source of empty homes for sale. The boomers' home sale is now at 4.4 million units every year as they move into retirement homes or die, leading to a massive supply of homes. Now, the question is, will this be a problem in the long run? Well, let's find out what happened the last time there was a housing supply surplus. In 2022, about 1/3 of 25-year-olds own their homes. That's slightly higher than home ownership rates for millennials and Gen Xers when they were 25, and slightly lower than the rate for baby boomers when they were 25. What happened was the Gen Zers were able to take advantage of record low mortgage rates in 2020 and 2021 to buy homes. This put them on a slightly better home ownership trajectory than their parents. But those who didn't buy homes during that period may struggle to break into the market now, seeing that housing costs have shot up thanks to increased demand against supply. There is no doubt against the common narrative that it's more difficult for today's 20-somethings to buy homes than in generations past. In fact, Gen Z homeowners spent the same portion of their income on housing in 2021 as they did 3 decades earlier, yet they acquired more houses. It's worth noting that 25-year-olds buying a home now likely spend a higher portion of their income on monthly payments than those who bought in 2021, as mortgage rates have increased. Yet they were able to ride through the rising of low mortgage rates and a strong job market to buy homes during the pandemic. Many Gen Zers took advantage of 3% mortgage rates to become homeowners in 2020 and 2021. Also, they have benefited from a strong job market and double-digit wage growth. For 16 to 24-year-olds, wages have risen by about 12%, making their income rise quickly, largely due to the tight pandemic-era labor market. But in recent times, it's not the same. The available houses are priced out now that rates are above 6%, and home prices remain well above pre-pandemic levels. Today, the world is facing a housing shortage, which is affecting millions of people and families. The demand for housing has also increased dramatically due to factors such as population growth, a strong economy, and low interest rates. However, the supply of new homes has not kept up with the demand, resulting in a housing shortage. In the United States, the housing shortage has become a complex issue that has been building up for decades. There are several reasons behind it, ranging from demographic shifts to regulatory barriers. And one of the main causes of the housing shortage is the lack of new construction. The United States is currently experiencing a housing shortage of between 5.5 and 6.8 million units, with the gap between supply and demand widening every year. This shortage is partly due to a decline in new construction, which has failed to keep up with population growth and demand for housing. Another major reason for the housing shortage is the rising cost of construction materials. It is no news that the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted global supply chains and caused shortages of raw materials, thereby driving up costs and delaying construction projects. Tariffs on imported materials have increased costs for builders, making it more challenging to construct affordable housing. Regulatory barriers also play a huge role in the housing shortage. Many local and state regulations, such as zoning laws and building codes, can drive up the cost of new construction and limit the supply of affordable housing. For example, minimum lot sizes and setback requirements can increase the cost of land and reduce the number of units that can be built on a given parcel. Similarly, building codes can add significant costs to new construction projects, making it more challenging to build affordable housing. Unfortunately, the housing shortage has significant consequences for individuals, families, and communities. One of the most obvious impacts is the rising cost of housing, which has made it difficult for many people to find affordable homes. Currently, there is a shortage of about 7.2 million affordable and available rental homes for extremely low-income renters. This shortage has contributed to the rise in homelessness, particularly in urban areas. The housing shortage also has economic consequences. The lack of affordable housing makes it more difficult for businesses to attract and retain workers, particularly in high-cost areas like California and New York. This can limit economic growth and harm productivity. In addition, the high cost of housing can leave families with less disposable income, limiting their ability to spend on other goods and services. The housing shortage also has social consequences. Housing instability can lead to poor health outcomes, including increased rates of mental health issues and chronic illnesses. It could also worsen existing inequalities, particularly for low-income and minority households. For example, Black and Hispanic households are more likely to experience housing insecurity than white households, with Black households experiencing the highest rate of homelessness. So we've seen that there is actually a housing shortage. We've also seen that the exit of the boomers can lead to a huge supply of homes. This combination makes the situation balanced, because now there's enough home buyer demand to meet most of the existing inventory that will come onto the market over the next decade and beyond from older homeowners. While it is true that in the next few decades, there will be a massive transfer of wealth and assets from the generation commonly referred to as the baby boomers to younger generations, the real question is, will the effect bring much change to the real estate market? Broadly speaking, the effects have been a little exaggerated. For a lot of the younger generation who have struggled to own their own homes and acquire assets and savings, this will be a massive boom, giving them an opportunity they might not have otherwise had access to. But this will not work for young people whose parents actually own their houses and have assets. Truth is, the middle-class people who were already reasonably comfortable will be the biggest beneficiaries. In summary, very little is likely to change. The rich will mostly stay rich and the poor will mostly stay poor. Now, to answer the question on whether there will be a housing crisis in the coming years. Technically, there have only been 4 housing crashes in the history of the United States, and they were in 2008, 1930s, the 1870s, and the 1830s. These all count if we follow the meaning of a housing crash to mean an across-the-board 20% decline in prices. Also, these crashes were all caused by horrible lending and overbuilding, which are not happening right now. In fact, lending guidelines are stricter than ever, and there are way too few houses for the population. This shows that a housing crash is not coming anytime soon. While that's good news, what do you think about the possible impact of the death of the boomers? Do let us know in the comments. Also, do like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Where money matters, we'll see you on the next one.